Hey folks, Ray and Hampton coming at you with Movement Monday for Monday, August 19th, 2024. How you doing, Hampton?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Just quick, recap of what we do here. We do this every Monday to talk about movement, exercise, vitamin supplementation, how all that works together, and just a little bit of a highlight movement, being that it is Monday, it's Movement Monday, and talk about what that looks like for us and how vitamins and supplementation working with that. Hampton, why don't you go ahead and kick us off, get us started?
All right. So today I was asked what I wanted to talk about, and the first thing that came to my mind was consistency. I live in Alaska, so I don't get very many nice days. Okay. So I go through the winter and you can't do all that much outside because of the amount of snow we get. But um, this past week, I have gone back to the gym after taking like seriously 2 months off, which if you asked me like a year ago, that would have been crazy. I would have never let that happen. But I felt that I needed it because I didn't want to get into the mindset of really not liking the gym. So I took a step back and just found things to do outside instead of going to the gym for an hour every day. But this week I've gone every day again, and I didn't realize how much mentally and physically both I needed it. Um, I know we've talked about this multiple times, but I feel like being consistent is a staple in living a healthy life.
Well, there's so much to add to that, man, because consistency is beneficial in all areas. We talk a lot here about exercise and movement, where the consistency there is not only going to help you to mentally stay stronger, but physically stay stronger and build that strength and build that resilience and build that endurance and everything that you can do to get there. Again, physically and mentally, but also consistency in having a healthy lifestyle, taking your supplements, your vitamins, your eating properly. The consistency there is going to help you stay on track and help you maintain. If maintaining is your thing, lose if you're trying to lose, gain if you're trying to gain. Sometimes people people's fitness jersey isn't always about losing weight; it's sometimes about gaining weight, um,
Hmm.
and just the consistency there. But I when you and I chat a little bit beforehand, I said that I have so much in my mind right now about consistency that I feel like I might word vomit because I want to go so hard on this right now. So, my son having played in a soccer tournament over the weekend, and he's been with the same team. Well, he's played with some of these kids since he was 4 years old, and he's now 10. He's been with this team, this select team. This is their third season together, and they won a championship this weekend, and it was just very much, you could tell that the consistency of, we have new coaches, they kind of changed up what they're working on and help them to see the point of, here's what we're doing again, here's what we're doing again, and consistent mindset of, okay, don't forget that that's what you're working on, and just the consistent reminders of to be consistent, um,
Right.
help them to get to, and they didn't just win the tournament, they dominated, and they played very well. It was just good energy all around, and I'm just impressed with them. And then for me personally, I did Tough Mudder again for the third time this weekend, and there's one obstacle that I'll be completely honest. I walked up to it and said, I don't ever do this one. I can't do this one, so I'll give it my best shot. And when I don't do it, it's okay. I know that I can't do this one. Well, I completed it. And it's more upper body strength. I've been working on strength building, and I've been consistent in trying to up my weights and, be stronger from a strength rather than an endurance and cardio standpoint. And when I got through it, I kind of looked back at it like, I feel like that was supposed to be harder. And last year, granted, I gave myself kind of a pass because it was raining, and it was bars, monkey bars are wet. So you go from the monkey bars to a ring that spins, that's flat, to rings that are hanging sideways that you have to go from one to the other, and then to a flat bar before you go over to the other. And if you fall into the water. And but staying consistent with my strength training, and being it the third time that I've done this event in a row, I feel like definitely helped get me to the place where it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. But I didn't not try. So it was very rewarding personally there. So
Yeah, that's
there's a
awesome.
lot to digest in that answer of what what I feel about that.
There's
Like I
something
said, I
that
had so much.
so I just wanted to add to that because you did it more like on the movement side of things and being consistent. I think that people forget that being consistent is much easier when you find what works best for you, whether like
Hmm.
anywhere in your journey. So being consistent of going to the gym or getting exercise or movement as a whole, but also being consistent comes easier in your lifestyle overall, like food and whatever journey you're on, because you have to find what works best for you. It'll be easier if you find what works best for you because you're going to want to stay consistent. Do you get what I'm saying? Like
I do.
you you have to find
Yeah.
what works best for you because it's not going to be the same as someone else.
Well,
But
and it's important to to know your own personality, which everybody knows. If they're going to set themselves up for failure, um, if you're a person let's take smoking. Terrible habit. If you say, if you've been smoking for years on end, and you say, tomorrow I'm done," the likelihood of you being done is slim to none with that,
mhm,
because you've consistently been putting that nicotine stick to your mouth for years on end. To say I'm just going to be done, that's a consistency, that's now a habit, that's now an addiction. And
mhm,
so if you say I'm going to start cutting it back, say you smoke a back a day or whatever, I'm going to try to stick to at least having three done at the end of the day. That consistency of each week you have one less or one more left at the end of the week, and that's still consistency. And so that's a great point that you make, in that there's different forms of consistency and different ways to attack it, but also understanding what you're capable of. And if you try to set yourself up cold turkey, sometimes you're setting yourself up for failure. Sometimes you're ready for that level of I'm done. I have to be done. And so there's different people that have that mindset, that say, once I'm going to take the jump, I'm not going to do this anymore. And it all depends on where you're at in life, and sometimes life makes the decision for you. So
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I just think like if you were to put you and I next to each other, obviously our routines, well, we work out regularly, each of
Mhm.
us. But if you put someone that is just starting to work out or just starting at the gym or whatever it is, and they try and do what you and I do, they're gonna hate life. Like
Yeah.
honestly, like it took us years to get here, right? So I just think that if you're consistent on your own schedule of what works for you, whether it's in food, say you do keto or paleo or carnivore or just tracking macros in general, you have to figure out what works best for you so that it's easier for you to stay consistent. That's all.
Yeah. Well, even with that, when I was doing keto, I tracked my food for a good couple months, but with consistency, I could say I didn't have to full on track it, because I knew what I was putting in my body at that point. And if I'm staying consistent, I know now, this is what I typically do in a day. I can have this, this, and this, and I don't have to go to my phone and say, how many do I have left? Because I know it's within my range of what I'm supposed to be having. And so I'm
Hmm.
sure that goes with any other, lifestyle change, diet, whatever you want to call it, or whatever makes you feel better about. Yeah, if it's not a diet, if it's a diet, for me, I don't like to call it a diet, because typically, it's trying to make a lifestyle change for me,
Right.
or it's a boost, because I do certain boosts where I go very extreme, and I can only have certain things, and it's a matter of that's short term, but I have to get that jump off in order to kickstart me into a successful routine, or back to my successful routine. It's usually because I've fallen off, or because I'll probably do one here coming up in about September, October ish, because summer has gotten a little too lenient for me, and I'm just like, well,
Right.
I'm not didn't necessarily gain a ton of weight, but I'm a little bit more fluffy right now than I want to be, and it just comes with that. When I start to get to that point, that's where I start to look for that consistent level, and look for something to jump me back to where I know that I can stay on track. So
I will
yeah.
also add, because you said like you got to figure out like your personality with it all. It's gonna take a few weeks. I know you've
Hmm.
probably seen it, but there's like this quote, and it's like it takes 4 weeks for you to notice. It takes 6 weeks for someone else to notice, or 4, 8, 12. I can't remember. I'll have to look for it and I'll add it in the comments later.
Yeah,
But
I
it,
think it's 1 week to get started, 2 weeks before you start to notice, and 3 weeks before other people notice.
okay, yeah, it was something
Yeah.
like that. But I think that's so like I when if you're new starting into changing your lifestyle and getting into a healthy lifestyle,
Mhm.
we say you have to figure out your what's going to help you stay consistent, but it may take a couple weeks. Like you're not just going to start day 1 and figure out. You might have to change things up. You have to, change whatever um eating lifestyle you're going to have it, but don't just quit.
Yeah.
That's what, like, the main point of me saying that it might take 3, 4, 5 weeks for you to really figure out what
Mhm.
works best for you in order to stay consistent. So,
Well, and I'll add one more thing to that, and then we'll wrap up probably. It's you have to know what mindset you're in, and whether or not an accountability buddy might be helpful, because a lot of people like to keep this stuff to themselves, and that's not always easy to stay on track when you do that. But and your accountability partner isn't always the same person, or isn't always the first person that comes to mind when you think of accountability. I've had people reach out to me, and we're not that close friends, but we're pretty good acquaintances. They're like, "Hey, can you hold me accountable? Can you ask me about my workouts?" And normally I'm like, "Hey, let's link up on Apple Watch, and let me know. I see your
right.
workouts, you see mine, blah blah blah, yada yada." I now have Strava on the app too. I see other people's things. I had somebody reach out to me after I did the Tough Mudder and say, "Hey, are you doing the Spartan race?" I'm like, I don't know. I don't know that I want to do that. He's like, "Well, I'm doing it alone, and I'd like somebody to come do it with me." And that's typically how I got roped into these things anyway,
Mhm.
because I don't, it's funner to do it with other people. If you get one other person, typically it's great, but then when you have a group, it's even easier because you take the pressure off of disappointing one other person. There's a group mindset. So consider what your options are for an accountability buddy, whether it's somebody that you want, you see every day at work, whether you see every day at the gym. Make a new friend. Sometimes it's those are where the tightest friendships are built, because you're holding each other accountable, and maybe they need somebody in to reciprocate the same type of accountability. So
Right.
don't sell yourself short.
Okay, there's one more thing and then we'll wrap it up.
All right.
I find myself in this situation, honestly, I found myself quite often in this situation, and this is for whoever's watching. You can do hard things. I can't want it for you more than you want it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that speaks for itself. So I
Well,
just,
and so
you can do
now
hard
I have one more
things.
thing to add to that, because you triggered. But I have a friend who I've now done. I did my last half marathon with, and did the Tough Mudder with. And before we did the half marathon, she's like, "This is hard. I don't know if I can do it." And I was like, "But you're gonna do it. I mean, you signed up. You're ready. You've been training. You'll be fine. It won't be easy, but that's okay." And
Hmm.
then she's like, I want to do the Tough Mudder. I want to do the Tough Mudder. And I'm like, okay, great. And then she's like, "Am I going to get shocked?" And I was like, "Well, yeah. I mean, that's one of the obstacles. There's a high likelihood." Well, I don't know. That seems kind of scary. I was like, "Yeah, well, sometimes scary things are necessary. Like, you have to get over
Hmm.
these fears." And she's
Right.
like, "Well, what if I'm not strong enough?" I'm like, "Well, what if you are?
Yeah,
You
you might
can,
surprise yourself.
yeah, you have to overcome these things." And I said, one way or another, you're going to finish, because we're doing it as a team. We're going to get through it. And even if you don't complete all the obstacles, you'll complete enough that you'll do enough to be proud of yourself that you went out, tried it, did it, and know that you have room to grow. You're setting a foundation. It may not be perfect, but also you tried it. And that's more than a lot of people can say. You can overthink it all day, every day, but until you go and try it, you're not going to know what you're capable of. And most of the time, you're going to surprise yourself. So, great
Right.
point.
And the same thing is
Yeah,
with, if say you're running a mile, whether you ran a mile at 8 minutes or you ran a mile at 12 minutes, it's still, you still ran a mile.
yeah, yeah,
So it's just finishing.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's you versus you,
Same.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, good deal. Any final words before we carry it on some more?
No. No.
Good deal. Like I said, I knew that we were going to jump into this, and it was going to
Yep.
be hard not to just keep going and going, because I can, I can give inspirational quotes all day, every day. So.
Hmm. I know.
Well, all right. We'll go ahead and wrap up again. I am Ray Reyes. That is Hampton McCullough. We are your hosts for Movement Monday. We do this every Monday to talk about movement, exercise, health, fitness, supplementation, vitamins, all that good stuff. So if you're watching for the first time, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Take a look at our previous videos. We've covered a lot of topics. If there's something that we haven't covered and you'd like for us to cover for you, reach out to one of us. We'd love to have the feedback. If you want to join us, we'd love to have the guests. Guests are always welcome. Hampton and I are both promoters for Innovative Nutrition. We do have a line of vitamins and supplements. And so if you'd like more information on that, reach out to us. We'd love to help you with that as well. Other than that, we will go ahead and end. Remind you to drink your water, take your vitamins, get your movement in, get it done. Talk to you later.
Bye.